And it looked like JuJu Watkins is currently going viral for saying some things about Caitlin Clark.
JuJu Watkins was asked a simple question about Caitlin Clark, but her answer detonated like a bomb in the heart of the basketball world, potentially igniting the next great rivalry in sports. In a now infamous video clip, she offered a brief, almost dismissive-sounding compliment to Clark before quickly moving on. That tiny moment was all it took. The internet immediately fractured into a digital civil war. One faction furiously accused her of throwing the ultimate shade, a calculated slight against the game's reigning queen. The other side passionately defended her actions, hailing it as the ice-cold, unshakable confidence of a future legend. The fallout was immediate and intense, leaving everyone to wonder what truly happened in that interview. And was this a quiet acknowledgement of greatness, or the first shot fired in a long and bitter war for the crown?
Speed. Probably Enrique. Accuracy. Probably Caitlin. Handles. Chelsea. Strength. Brittany Griner. Range. Caitlin. Clutch. I'll probably go Asia.
The setting was a casual interview with Sports Illustrated, where the premise was simple: build a perfect player by borrowing skills from different stars. It was a lighthearted segment, but when Caitlin Clark's name was mentioned, the atmosphere shifted. JuJu Watkins, with a focused and unflinching gaze, offered her assessment. Probably Caitlin's handles, she stated, followed by a slight pause, her clutch factor too, and then silence. She didn't elaborate, she didn't smile, she didn't offer the effusive praise that has become standard when discussing Clark. In an age of media-trained athletes delivering lengthy, polished sound bites, her brevity was a statement in itself. It was an answer so short and sharp it felt less like a compliment and more like a clinical analysis from a future adversary.
Now, that being said, JuJu Watkins is currently going viral, man. She did an interview with Sports Illustrated. I believe this was yesterday or maybe day before yesterday. I don't know. I came across this post. Shout out to Krista over on Twitter who shared this, and this is what she had to say.
Before the clip even had time to breathe, it was captured, edited, and launched into the chaotic ecosystem of the internet, where it went supernova. On platforms like X and TikTok, it was not just watched, it was forensically dissected. Armchair body language experts used slow motion and zoom-ins to analyze every micro-expression on JuJu's face. Vocal analysts debated the inflection in her tone. The digital world transformed into a courtroom, and JuJu Watkins was on trial. Two distinct and warring factions emerged almost instantly. Team Shade declared her guilty of blatant disrespect, while Team Confidence lauded her as a fearless competitor who refused to bow to anyone. It became a top trending topic, a firestorm of memes, arguments, and hot takes that proved just how deeply invested the world has become in these two phenomenal athletes.
To try to make these battles between like Paige and Caitlin, Paige and JuJu, guys, we got to separate the basketball from the person. Similarly like YouTube, you got to separate the content from the person. Just because somebody does something a certain way or do something a certain way on the basketball court or in their profession don't make them a bad person.
The accusation that JuJu had been disrespectful quickly became the dominant narrative, and it was rooted in the unwritten rules of sports hierarchy. In athletic culture, rising stars are often expected to pay homage to the established titans, to show a certain level of deference and reverence. Caitlin Clark isn't just another superstar. She is widely regarded as the revolutionary figure who carried women's basketball into a new era of mainstream popularity. Therefore, any perceived slight against her isn't just seen as a personal jab, but as an attack on the progress of the entire sport. Critics argued that JuJu's minimalist praise was a deliberate violation of this code, a conscious choice to signal that she did not view Clark as a superior, which in the eyes of many was the ultimate sign of disrespect.
There's a lot of players in the country playing Division I basketball. Nobody scored more points in one game this year than you. That's the most.
That's crazy. Yeah. More to come for sure.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark who?
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Much respect there.
However, an equally compelling counter-narrative quickly took shape, one that reframes the entire incident not through the lens of etiquette, but through the prism of a competitor's psyche. From this perspective, JuJu's response wasn't disrespectful, it was the purest expression of a championship mindset. Legendary athletes like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant were defined by their refusal to place anyone on a pedestal. They viewed every other player as an obstacle to be overcome, not an idol to be worshipped. Excessive praise in their world could be interpreted as a form of submission. By keeping her comments brief and analytical, JuJu was establishing herself on an equal psychological playing field. She wasn't speaking as a fan or a subordinate, she was speaking as a future rival, making a quiet but powerful statement about her own ambitions. This level of self-assurance isn't unearned arrogance, it's the product of a lifetime spent in the spotlight. JuJu Watkins is not a new phenomenon. She was a basketball prodigy at Sierra Canyon, a high school program that plays under the intense pressure of a national media spotlight, alongside the sons of NBA royalty. Her freshman year at USC was nothing short of historic, as she shattered scoring records and became a must-see attraction. Crucially, she was the first female athlete to sign with Clutch Sports, the agency representing LeBron James, which provided her with a blueprint for greatness. Her confidence was forged in the fires of elite competition and groomed by the most powerful forces in the sport. What truly solidifies JuJu's mental toughness is how she has navigated the greatest challenge of her career, a devastating ACL tear that will sideline her for the entire upcoming season. For most athletes, such a catastrophic injury would trigger a retreat from the public eye. JuJu, however, has done the opposite. Her relevance has soared. She continues to sign massive multi-year endorsement deals with blue-chip companies like Nike and State Farm, brands that are investing not just in her talent, but in her unshakable resilience. Her calm and composed demeanor in the face of this adversity is perhaps the most compelling evidence that her confidence is not a performance for the cameras, it is the fundamental core of who she is. To fully grasp the audacity of JuJu's perceived challenge, one must first appreciate the monumental scale of Caitlin Clark's dominance. She is the superstar who completely rewrote the rules of engagement for women's sports. The Caitlin Clark effect is a tangible phenomenon, a tidal wave of interest that led to record-shattering viewership numbers that outdrew the World Series and the NBA Finals. Upon entering the WNBA, she became the economic engine for the entire league, driving ticket sales and media coverage to unprecedented levels. She is not just the best player in the game, she is the industry itself. She is the final boss, the undisputed queen on the throne, which makes any challenge to her authority, no matter how subtle, feel like a seismic event. It is impossible to separate this story from the modern media's insatiable appetite for rivalry. History has proven that nothing sells in sports like a compelling head-to-head conflict. Magic versus Bird saved the NBA. Federer versus Nadal defined an era of tennis. These narratives create drama, drive engagement, and sell tickets. JuJu's ambiguous comment was the perfect raw material, a spark that media outlets were all too eager to fan into a raging inferno. Headlines were meticulously crafted to be provocative, framing the interaction as a direct confrontation. The media isn't just reporting on a potential rivalry in many ways, it is actively trying to will it into existence for the benefit of the sports entertainment machine. Beyond the manufactured drama, the potential rivalry between Clark and Watkins is so compelling because of their fascinating contrasts in style and personality. Clark is the offensive supernova, a long-range bomber with a fiery, emotional on-court demeanor. Watkins, on the other hand, is often compared to Kobe Bryant for her methodical footwork, her lethal mid-range game, and her stoic, unflappable composure. She is the silent assassin to Clark's passionate warrior. These stylistic and temperamental differences are the perfect ingredients for a classic rivalry, a clash of philosophies and personalities that promises to create electrifying drama every time they meet on the court. Lost in the tempest of online debate is the clear and consistent evidence of mutual respect between these two athletes. When JuJu's devastating injury was announced, Caitlin Clark was one of the first to publicly offer her support and encouragement. Behind the scenes, Watkins has stated that Clark reached out to her, offering advice on navigating the treacherous waters of superstardom. This suggests that their relationship is far more complex and supportive than the simplistic rivalry narrative would have you believe. They are part of an exclusive club of elite athletes who understand the immense pressures they face, forging a bond of respect even as they prepare to be fierce competitors. Ultimately, whether you interpret JuJu's comment as shade or confidence, the ensuing explosion of conversation is unequivocally a massive victory for women's basketball. The fact that a single brief interview clip can dominate the sports news cycle for a week is a powerful indicator of the sport's arrival in the mainstream. The intense passion and debate are symptoms of incredible growth. Clark may have kicked the door down, but a new generation of captivating stars, including JuJu, Paige Buickers, and Angel Reese, is now storming through it. This rising tide of talent and personality is lifting all boats, promising a future for the sport that is brighter and more compelling than ever before. One cannot overstate the strategic significance of the powerhouse agency behind JuJu Watkins, Clutch Sports. Being a Clutch athlete means more than just having a great agent. It means having access to a sophisticated machine dedicated to brand management, public relations, and long-term career planning. Her calm, unflappable demeanor during interviews is not an accident. It is the product of world-class media training. This connection places her in the most powerful lineage of modern basketball, providing her with the tools and the team to not only compete on the court, but to master the complex game of fame and influence that is played off of it. JuJu Watkins and Caitlin Clark are operating on a different level than the stars who came before them. They are not just phenomenal basketball players. They are the CEOs of their own burgeoning global brands. They are masterfully crafting distinct public personas. Clark as the relatable, record-breaking phenom from the heartland, and Watkins as the cool, composed, high-fashion icon from the West Coast. Their lucrative long-term deals with giants like Nike are not just endorsements, they are strategic business partnerships. They represent a new archetype of athlete entrepreneur, one who understands that their power and influence extend far beyond the lines of the basketball court. Every debate, every headline, and every social media argument is building anticipation for an inevitable and monumental collision in the WNBA. The moment JuJu Watkins, fully recovered, steps onto the same professional court as Caitlin Clark will be more than just a game. It will be a cultural spectacle. That first matchup will be dissected with championship-level intensity. Every possession will be scrutinized, every interaction analyzed, and every outcome framed as a chapter in their developing saga. It will be the ultimate trial by combat, a high-stakes showdown that could define the next decade of the league and captivate an entire generation of sports fans. JuJu's actions and the reaction to them are a powerful reflection of a broader generational shift in sports. The modern Gen Z athlete is unapologetically authentic and empowered by social media to control their own narrative. They are less concerned with traditional hierarchies and the unwritten rules of the past. This generation does not believe in waiting their turn or asking for permission to be great. JuJu Watkins is the avatar of this new mindset. She respects the trailblazers who came before her, but she is simultaneously and fearlessly carving her own path and announcing her arrival, not with a whisper, but with a bang. There is a specific weight to the comparisons that follow JuJu Watkins, and none is heavier than the one to Kobe Bryant. This isn't just a casual compliment about her scoring ability, it's an observation about the very essence of how she plays the game. It's in her meticulous footwork, her mastery of the mid-range jumper, and her icy demeanor in high-pressure moments. While Caitlin Clark is often likened to Steph Curry for her revolutionary three-point shooting and joyful, expressive style, JuJu embodies the Mamba mentality. This creates a fascinating philosophical clash, the surgical, methodical assassin versus the passionate long-range bomber. It suggests their rivalry will be a battle, not just of skill, but of two fundamentally different approaches to achieving greatness. While both athletes exist in the stratosphere of superstardom, the pressures they face are uniquely crushing. Caitlin carries the immense burden of the present. She is Atlas, holding the entire world of women's basketball on her shoulders. The financial health of the WNBA, its media rights deals, and its cultural relevance are all tied directly to her performance and popularity. She lives under a microscope that magnifies every shot, every word, and every frustration. JuJu, on the other hand, carries the haunting burden of potential. She is tasked with meeting the impossible expectations of being the next big thing, of justifying the Kobe comparisons, and of returning from a devastating injury as a transcendent force. It's the pressure of what could be, a weight that can be just as heavy as the weight of what already is. So as the dust from this viral firestorm finally begins to settle, we are left with a tantalizing and complex question. Are we witnessing the birth of a bitter old-school rivalry, or the dawn of something new? A modern rivalry built on a complex foundation of mutual respect and ferocious competitive desire. Perhaps the true genius of this situation is that both things can be true at once. The greatest rivalries are often fueled by a complicated mix of admiration and the psychological need to dominate. The debate itself is what makes the future so exciting. One thing is now certain, with Caitlin Clark on the throne and JuJu Watkins making her claim, the future of women's basketball is not just bright, it's blinding. What do you think? Cast your vote in the comments. Was it shade or was it confidence?